Good morning, all. Afternoon. I always do that. In my head, if it feels like morning, I guess it's morning, I suppose. But technically, yeah, afternoon. So, good afternoon to everyone. And this is just a quick one. Now, I say it's going to be a quick one. May not be. Pretty presumptuous, but I just wanted to let you guys know that I'll be back at Old Spitalfields tomorrow, which is a market which is located between Liverpool Street and Shoreditch, very near to Brick Lane. So if you're not, if you're in East London, you'll no doubt be familiar with the area anyway. But if you're not in East London, then it may not be that entirely obvious. So when I was living in Southwest London for quite a few years, East London seemed such a well, it is miles away, but it just seemed so quite far removed from the Southwest London community with I was going to say it's the other side of the Thames, but it's a bit cliche. Either way, when I was living in South London, it just seemed quite far removed, you know, geographically, and I don't know, it's like a different all round vibe and clientele, really, I guess. I don't know how much I'm generalizing, but that's how it felt anyway. And it always seemed like it was such a trek to get to. So you'd always have to hop on the Northern Line, change at Bank, which no one in their right mind wants to do at the best of times, and then head to Liverpool Street. And it's even worse to get on the Overground as well. So it was always just a bit out the way, actually. So anyway, if you're down there those ways, or if you're from the home counties, or even if you're from northwest, southeast London, then I will just fill you in a bit more. So Old Spitalfields Market is it's an old market in Spitalfields, as you may well have guessed, and it's as far as I can see and as far as I can tell, it's next to Spitalfields Market. So I'm do correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure those are two different markets, two different organisations as well. Spitalfields Market seems to be the one that's kind of more outdoor, and Old Spitalfields Market, the one which I'm associated with, they're the ones that are under the main cover, which is fantastic when, like now, like when it's a bit grim and grey and windy. So even if it is a bit grim and grey tomorrow, which it seems to be in the UK all the time now, you don't need to worry because we'll be undercover, so all is well. And yeah, as I said before, if you go on the Overground, you can get to Shoreditch High Street, and I'd say probably 5 or 10 minutes walk. It's not far at all. If you're on the Underground, it's Liverpool Street, which is on the Central Line, and a few others. And it's pretty close from there as well. Yeah, like max 10 minutes walk. And there's a whole load of street food. I'm not going to name the types of street food because I'm not really a foodie kind of guy, and which means that I don't really pay attention to the food stalls. I mean, I smell them and they smell lovely, and you know, but that's as far as it goes with my food passion. Really, kind of ends at smell, I guess. But there's burgers, vegan options, and there's Asian options, African options. There's a whole load of options. that's, that's as far as my food knowledge goes, I'm afraid. We'll end it there. But there's a hell of a lot of food. There's also a great array of independent creators. So a lot of artists, and not just artwork. There's me and a few other illustrators, but there's also fabric designers, and I've got a list here actually. Um, oh yeah, candles and jewelry. We got soap. I'm just reading the list, bear with me. So yeah, there's a hell of a lot. There's a lot of choice. And I'll be located um, on the Brick Lane side, I believe. And yeah, selling my wares. So I'll have some new artwork and some old artwork from the archives as well, which tends to go down well. So I'll be selling a whole array of work. And even if you don't have any intention of buying anything, it's nice just to come down anyway, because it's a good crowd actually. It's like it's kind of like most people are still in their shells, right? Like we're still a little bit secluded and we're not completely out of the woods yet. So the people that are out at the moment, obviously still being cautious, but it feels like a new world almost. And it's like when you meet, I realize I'm saying like a lot. I hate that, but when there's people that you do see out and about now, it's as if there is like a new community, and you've kind of just discovered this whole new arrangement of being. It's cool. It's like having a new world, I guess is the best way to say it. And I'm sure this will die out eventually and we'll go out back to our old ignorant ways. But at the moment, everyone's very chatty and very talkative, and like myself, I just want to be very social because we've been in our shells for a good year or so. So it's nice. Like it's when you get chatting to people, there's a lot more. It just feels like there's a lot more warmth. So it's great. Yeah, it's good to talk to people. Um, Having been cooped up on just got my pigeon visitor there. Having been cooped up on my own for a while because I live on my own, it's all the more reason for me to get out and start speaking to people. It's very important. For here, it's very important. And yeah, it works. It works a treat. Like once you've spoken to a number of people throughout the day, it just makes you feel that bit more connected. So to reiterate, even if you don't intend on buying anything from the market, I don't care. Just come down and say hello. I'm not really in this. This market in particular, I'm not really in this to kind of make money from. It's, yeah, truth be told, it's mostly people there for food at the moment because, of course, no one's really coming in from overseas, and like the traditional tourists, if you like, they're few and far between at the moment, which of course London relies heavily on. So yeah, the clientele at the moment is mostly there for food. And I think if I was to kind of deny that, I'd be kidding myself, really. So I'm well aware that the location of where it is by Liverpool Street and not far from a lot of city workers, and they're basically looking for lunch. But because I'm not in this to become a millionaire from this market, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. And whether I sell 0, whether I sell 20 prints on the day, it's not going to change my mood about the whole thing at all, because I'm not there for that, really. This is kind of like don't get me wrong, I get some commission work out of it sometimes. Like as any good market person should do, you take along your business cards and interact, and then further down the line, you know, I'll maybe get an email saying, hey Ben, you probably don't remember me, but blah 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 blah. And that's always worth doing, the commission work side of things. But as I said before, it's not really about sales. And although I did make sales last week, the more rewarding thing is the human interaction, really. So at the risk of this sounding really cheesy, that's kind of why I'm there. But I would say that, wouldn't I, if I'm not making many sales? That is what I would say if I was in denial a bit. But no, it just happens to be true, and that's why I'm enjoying doing the markets. I'm going to hopefully apply for Saturdays as well. I realise that they're pretty busy, and it's not a huge space. You know, the markets are, the stalls are quite substantial, so there is limited space. But either way, it'd be good for me to do a weekend as well. But for now, just Wednesdays, and fingers crossed I have a few markets as well. Covent Garden, Greenwich are on the cards as well, so we'll see, and I'll keep you guys updated. But for now, yeah, just Spitalfields, and I'll be there from around 10:30. Probably still asleep by that time, although I'll be walking around pretending to be conscious. So let's say 11. I'm not a morning guy. 11 till 5. And if you get stuck, send me a message, and I'll happily help you to navigate to where I am. I mean, I've got the map here in front of me now, which is pretty helpful. It's on the east side of the market, which is Commercial Street. So if that means anything to you, then great. Then I will see you tomorrow. And feel free to buy me a cup of tea. Yeah. I was with my friend Charlotte last week. She was on the stall next to me. She has some really nice products that she creates herself, and it was her first market. So that was nice to kind of go through that with someone, because it's a weird experience, your first market. It's like complete, what's the word? Complete exposure. So it's like it's like the curtain's been pulled away, and there you are to the world, and then it's pure judgment, and it's pure. It's essentially, you know, it's a way for you to really get out of your comfort zone, out of your bubble, out of your echo chamber, and just really face the judgmental public who, if they don't like what you've got, then they aren't going to buy anything. And that can be very disheartening and very, demoralizing, really, is a good word for it. However, I mean, I didn't sell nothing for months at a time, but I've had over weeks and weeks and weeks and months that turns into years. I've just had to learn that obviously the clientele plays a big part in it. And the location, obviously, but even so, a lot of these bad weeks, depends how you look at it, really. As I said before, I don't want to dwell too much on the whole social side of it, but you can turn a bad week into a good week. It depends how you look at it, really. If you want to go there and sell everything on the day, unless you've got a really spectacular product that the public are just dying for, then it's not going to happen, really, especially if you're not that well established. And it's very, very easy to take these things personally, because it's you at the end of the day, you know. So if someone is like, say it's your first market, and then some a lady walks by and she stops. I mean, it's nice that anyone stops anyway. That's a really nice thing. But let's say someone stops and she's having a little browse, maybe even picks a few things up. You say hello, but then when she walks off, you know, gives a little smile and walks off. You can look at it two ways, really. You can look at that like she didn't like my product and she walked off. If she did like it, she'd have inquired more, or she'd have bought something. And then you can go on this spiral of real negativity about whether your products are actually worth making in the first place, whether you're on the right path, whether what you're doing is even viable, financially viable. Have I got to go back to working in a pub? All these kind of thoughts. So it's a huge spiral that comes just from one moment, like a few seconds, that result in a lot of these negative thoughts, based around the fact that someone didn't like what you've done. So you can look at it like that, or which I've learnt to do, is to look at it as in someone stopped as a positive, like someone actually, what it's like in a market. You're not looking at very specific things. Like everything kind of molds into one in terms of, especially small markets like Camden, things like that. Everything, there's so much noise and tattle and faces, and you've got that awkward bit where you don't really want to look at the person behind the stall, because that implies that you've got to start a conversation. So you've got all these things which are kind of make you not really want to stop. You just want to keep it fluid and kind of, walk through, have a little bit of experience of the market, but not get too involved, because you're just left with, well, I don't know, maybe it's just me talking, but anyway, the point is, if someone does stop, that's a huge positive, really, because there's so many reasons for them to keep going. There's time that's on their side. There's the fact that they might get drawn into a conversation they really don't want. Someone might be waiting for them. There's they haven't got the money to spend. There's a whole load of social and psychological reasons for someone to keep walking, that when someone does stop and take an interest in my stall, I love it. Yeah, I class that as a sale, really, as strange as that sounds. It's like every stopper is a bonus, and that for me says I'm doing something right. So it really depends on how you look at it. If they stop and not buy something, it can be demoralizing, yes, because they essentially don't want what you've got. But the way I look at it now, and to be honest, always have really, is that I'm very, very grateful for any person that even glances, let alone just stops. And beyond that, you get people who interact and chat and talk, and how long you've been doing this? Are you the artist? Is it someone else? All these are cool. It reminds me of, I don't know, an old cartoon I used to read when I was a kid, and all this sort of stuff. So you get the really social people, and that just blows my mind, really, in a good way. So yeah, a bit off tangent, but I think my point was that it can be a bit demoralizing when you have a market and you haven't made any sales. Then it is just a mindset, really. I mean, if after, let's say in theory, you do a market every day for 365 days, across different locations with different clientele, and then you don't sell anything, then maybe you can reflect on what you're selling and who you're selling to, and go back to the drawing board, and maybe you can reflect on your products or services at that point, because it may well be that the stuff you're selling isn't commercial, or it's not attractive, or useful if it's a product. So yeah, don't get me wrong, further down the line, if people aren't buying anything after quite a long time in different places, experimentally, then something may well be wrong. But just for your first market, or even 3-4 markets down the line, it doesn't necessarily mean that what you're doing is not good, So anyway, yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to having a bit of interaction, having getting back into the real world, and if I sell something, then fantastic. But if I don't, then also great. It's all good. But as I said before, if you guys have got any questions about the market itself or the location, last week we went for a few drinks afterwards. I don't think I'll be doing that again. We went to Memento, which is a bar quite nearby to the place, and had a few too many. No, that's not quite accurate. Not too many, just I was excited, it's my first market in a while, and El Vino did flow, but kind of messed up my day the next day. Mixing drinks, I think that is. Schoolboy error. So I think what I'm going to start doing is arranging some kind of social gathering, drinks thing after my market on Wednesdays, but not tomorrow. Maybe the following Wednesday. I'm going to sort something out and maybe get a table at, either do something on Brick Lane or just in Shoreditch. Or back at Memento Bar. I quite enjoyed that. I've been going there for years, actually. It's a cool spot. But tomorrow I think I might not be doing that, but I'll keep you posted for next Wednesday, and then we can make a little social event out of it as well. And yeah, I'll keep you posted. So that's it for now, ladies and gents. And one more thing, I did send an email out yesterday about my possible future markets as well. In fact, no, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to get carried away. I'll save that for another time. Cool. All right. Take care, guys, and I will see some of you tomorrow. Bye for now.